You know what, guys? I can't glaze this movie enough, so let's get right into it. Mic check, mic check, mic check. What's going on, peeps? We're back at it with Final Destination Bloodlines. I just got done seeing it. Obviously, I'm sure most of society has heard of it. If you haven't heard of it, you need to go check it out. I might be a little late to giving you my opinion on the film. I'm sorry, life kind of got in the way. But anyway, let's get right into it, okay? Hands down, an amazing film. But just giving you a heads up now, if you haven't seen it yet, I'm trying to keep the spoilers to a minimum, but I really think you should skip this video if you haven't seen it yet, and then come back. Make sure to hit that subscribe button to go watch it later on after you go see the film, because I can't recommend it enough. And I'm not the only one. There's a ton of people right now, but we're going to get into that here in just a second. Final Destination Bloodlines. Okay. I can't stress how great this film was. I purposely rewatched all the films, probably as most people did, to go see it, because obviously it's been a very long time since the last film came out. So let's just get right into the pros. One, the killings were gruesome. I mean, when I say gruesome, like it was like a thick, gory type gruesome. It might not be some people's cup of tea, but guess what, folks? You are going to Final Destination. People who are going to complain about how gruesome it is, that's what you signed up for. Okay, you go see Saw, you go see Final Destination. You're not signing up to see roses and see action, like Marvel action stuff with no blood. You're going to see blood. I get it, but you kind of have to get over it, okay? That's why you're going to go see the film, for like some crazy type deaths. You got a lot of gruesome killings, okay? So let's just even talk about some. You got the lawnmower, you got the Skyview incident, you got the MRI incident, okay? You got peanut allergy boy over here. You got plenty of different incidents in here, okay? Drowning, logs. I mean, it's crazy, okay? It just has a ton of gruesome stuff in it. I can't stress that enough. Another big pro. Final Destination is known for having good music choices. This music choices are just, I mean, you got Shout, you got Ring of Fire, you got Spear in the Sky, you got Without You. I mean, the list is endless. I would argue, and I don't know if people would agree, most of the songs in here, they make it very prominent. Like when you saw Final Destination 2 and they were in the car, whole car crash with the log truck and all that stuff, yeah, that we have PTSD from. This movie like very stresses the music hardcore. Like a trailer, they're in the RV driving down, it's playing Spirit in the Sky. When they first get to the Skyview back in the day in the 50s, 60s, they're playing Ring of Fire. In the Skyview restaurant, they're playing Shout. Like, I mean, they're making it very prominent in this film, which I actually really like. Another big pro is I can actually connected with all these characters. You know what I mean? Like, these were all family members that were going through this issue together, versus they're either randoms or coworkers, their relationships, or their friends. The other movies have those other categories, but this one actually goes over family. And that's what's kind of, well, I don't want to say cool, because unfortunately, you know, but like, that's where actually you really connect to the characters. I'm not saying you can't connect to the characters in the other films, but this one in particular goes over like as family members, and like, you know, it just, I don't know, it's a little more wholesome. You get more backstory from the family members. It just, there's a more connectivity there. So that's another big pro I said. Another pro, subtle callbacks to the previous films. Now, I'm going to stress this pretty hard. Let's just say you're an average person going to see this film. I can't stress this enough. It's very beneficial to rewatch them probably right before you go see this film, only because if you're not a huge fan of this franchise, you might miss the small subtle callbacks to the previous films, right? Like the plane sketched out in her notebook, or how she kind of goes over the timeline of everything. You really can't see the names unless you have like better vision than I do, but you really can't see the names, but they're up there, right? Like there's subtle stuff like that you have to like really pay attention to or be a huge fan of to catch them. So, and I'll get into more of that later, okay? Another pro, amazing rating. I said on my TikTok, and if you don't follow me, go check out my TikTok channel, sleeky_ratings. I said right off the rip that I'm probably going to give it a 9. Right? And I'll get into more details about that in a little bit. But again, amazing rating around the board. Because I went and saw the film, then I go look at the ratings, right? That's what I typically do. Sometimes I check beforehand and be like, how's this movie going to think? And I honestly just go off the ratings. Like, I really don't even go off the critiques from the rip. I just go off the percentage or whatever, and I just go from there. Anyway, Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 93%. IMDB gave it a 7.2 out of 10, which low-key, guys, again, I know I'm glazing this film a lot. I think that's kind of rubbish. And Fandango gave it an 89%. That's not bad. But overall, though, critically and financially, right, this film made approximately $100 million in the opening weekend. It just opened up like 2 days ago to like the public, if you will, me included. This did the best in the whole franchise so far, right? And it's probably still going to get higher and higher because it's just the opening weekend. But it made over $100 million total just in this opening weekend alone. What a lot of the critics were saying after I looked at it and looking at the percentages and stuff, I agree. If you were to take all the Final Destination movies, line them all up, they are all basically Final Destination films. Duh, we know that. But this one in particular, because of the gruesome killings, the way the killings happen and all that stuff, if you were to say, what's Final Destination like? This film, because you have the premonition, you have the gruesome killings, you have like the almost killings that happen but don't happen, then the catch-22, the plot twist, if you will, you have all that kind of stuff. And honestly, I just think this film like kind of wraps everything up perfectly. But this particular film, like what the critics were saying, except for you, IMDB, 7.2, really? Come on, fam, that should have been way higher. Anyway, what all the other critics were saying, and like that's what I agree with, this is Final Destination. This is what you want. Because again, typically when you get to these higher sequels, people are going to be like, oh, it's terrible. Dude, they did a complete 180. Like, this is one of the series that are like, holy crap, this actually film is amazing. And from what I'm seeing from other TikTok creators or other creators talking about this, they're putting this in some of their top spots. I'm not saying the number one spot, for them at least, but it's up there for them, and I would definitely agree. I'm going to make a separate video on ranking all the Final Destinations here shortly, but I really want to get this review out there. And here's the last pro. It has a different take on how people survive. And what I mean by that is when you think about the premonitions from 1, 2, 3, etc. They have the premonition like, oh my gosh, they start having like a panic attack essentially, which I agree. And then they either get him out of that area or the group of people that survive flock with him, right? Like the plane, they all go off the plane. Or the NASCAR incident, they all go away from the racetrack area and survive, and then they each individually die. This one takes a different approach because she sees the premonition, rather just start freaking out and a group of people flock with her and they go down the elevator and leave. Maybe she didn't have time. I don't know. I mean, it looks like she really didn't have a lot of time. She prevented it from happening by like putting the lid on the fire flambe they were doing. She took away the penny from the kid, which that kid is a monster. Takes the penny away from him, puts the flame out, and stops everyone from stepping on the glass and dancing and literally showering and sending like 100 people to their death. And that's how it kind of like the premonition stops. So it's a very different take on how we typically see Final Destination, where a lot of them escape that area and then the thing still happens. This, like, she completely cut it off. And that's what they were getting at, with she saved all these families, all these lives. So death had to come for each and every single one of them in that restaurant who weren't supposed to survive. So this was like a different take on how people survive and get offed because, things I just mentioned. The only con I gave it is that the callbacks are subtle. Kind of like I said that as a pro, but again, I'm putting that as my main con. If you're like me who watch a lot of media for obvious reason, like this channel, my TikTok channel, my memory's not the best, so I have to go back and rewatch it so I can get the little details. Unless you have a great memory, you're just like a casual watcher, or you're a huge fan. I mean, I'm a huge fan, but that's beside the point. You might miss the subtle callbacks. So I put that as a con because, as you know, like I just mentioned, I love backstory, and that's what this whole movie is. I just wish they went in more little detail about the backstories from the other movies. Like, for example, when Iris was explaining to Stephanie about the premonition and about how she saved all those people. But I just wish, like, when Iris was explaining to Stephanie, for example, she talks about a plane crash, or she talks about crash on the highway, or she talks about a roller coaster incident, or she talks about bridge collapsing. I think it would have been so cool to see those subtle details thrown in there, but she really didn't talk about that, which is fine, I guess, because it's not their premonition. But I just thought that was really cool because Grandma Iris had all the answers. She had the book. Again, the plane was diagrammed and drawn in there, so clearly she knew about it. I just really wish they went into a little more details about all that. That's all. Which, I'm going to throw this as another pro in there. I didn't write this down. You know, when they're going through each of the parts of the film and different characters and what role they played in the original premonition, I thought that was so cool. Like Tony Todd, rest in peace. You know, showed him as a kid in the thing, like when he was talking to the group of the kids in the present time. So I thought that was a really, really cool twist. You know, them going back, doing a recap, if you will. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. That's another pro, though. I'm going to throw this as a pro, too. Like I said, you know, rest in peace, because Tony Todd did pass away. I thought it was really cool because I'm finding out that the lines he was saying, you know, about enjoy life and all that, he was actually kind of not necessarily winging it, but he threw his like last actual like real life thing in there for all the viewers and everyone. And the nice memory thing that they put at the end, I thought was very touching. Like, that's up there with like Fast and Furious, what they did for Paul Walker, if you remember that. I said on my TikTok thing, if you saw that video, I probably gave this, like I said, I'm probably gonna give it a 9 out of 10. I think because of all those pros I just said, after thinking about it, writing them down, thinking about the con, there might be more cons I'm missing. If I am Comment down below what you guys think. Overall, though, I think I'm going to bump it up to 9.5 out of 10. I'm not giving it the half solely because of the fact that comment I mentioned, I wish they just went a little more. But this Final Destination is going to be like Final Destination 2 with the car crash. People are like, I'm seeing all these memes about walking on glass floors, having, checking their ice in their drink, make sure it's not glass, watching out for pennies and stuff like that. This one, and especially with that, the Skyview restaurant, but there is Skyview place like in Seattle, I believe, has one. This is going to cause like a whole nother form of anxiety like the log truck did. Because again, people still fly on airplanes, even though Final Destination 1 was about airplane crashing. People still fly on planes. People still go on roller coasters. But those subtle little things like the log truck and the glass in the ice, all that kind of stuff, that's just going to like scar people to the point where they're checking their stuff at restaurants and all that. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. But yeah, that's why all those things I'm bumping up to 9.5 out of 10. I'll be releasing a whole video dedicating the ranking for all the films, so stay tuned for that. So make sure you hit the subscribe button and bell to be notified about future videos, and comment down below whether or not you agree with my ranking. If you want to saw it, tell me what you thought in the comments. I'd love to read about it. But anyway, guys, I'm out. I'll see you.